What is up, everybody? Episode 47 starts in 30 seconds. What's up, everybody? Listen, this I want to encourage everybody to find a home church. If you don't have a home church, find yourself a home church. If you live in the DFW area or East DFW area, I want to invite you to CLife, Community Life Church. As you can see, I have my shirt. It has we have 5 different campuses: Forney, Kaufman, Rockwall, Canton, and Sunnyvale. This past Sunday, we had baptisms. Over 100 people got baptized throughout all 5 campuses. Man, I encourage you to come to one of our services. All right. We preach the word of God. That is our main focus. That's number one. If you don't live in this area, man, find yourself a church wherever you live. South Florida, you got the Source Church, or you got Vertical Church. There's so many churches you could go to, right? So make sure you find a home church. That's number one. My guest today has been a fan of wrestling, a pro wrestling fan since 1973, right? And he is the co-CEO of Wrestling App and a wrestling website called The Wrestling Society, all right? And his name is Herman Professor Bear Cade. And let's welcome him on. What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good, my man. Good. Thank you for being on, man. Man, I'm excited. I'm a wrestling fan myself. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid, and I'm super excited about this. I love talking wrestling, and so let's get to it. But before we talk about your app, and about your website, I want to know Herman. I want to know who Herman is. And before we get to the Professor Bear, how you got that name, let's talk about you. Where are you from? Where did you grow up, et cetera, et cetera?
I was born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee. Still living here currently. I became a wrestling fan pretty much out the womb. My father, he was a big wrestling fan, so that meant everybody watched wrestling. And when I was younger, we used to go all the time to our local wrestling shows, like every week or 2 weeks or month, however they presented it. We generally was there. And we, like I said, my dad loved wrestling, and we just everything had to do with wrestling. So being the youngest, I was probably under my dad more than anything. So when he watched wrestling, I watched wrestling. And being from Knoxville, we used to get Georgia Championship Wrestling that turned into World Championship Wrestling. So everybody knew Saturdays at 6:05, whatever you wanted to do, either
on PBS.
Yes, have it done before or after 8 o'clock. In that 2-hour time, you did not make noise. It was so bad the neighbors' kids knew, okay, if you coming out, you better come out before then. That I'm not your dad's mean. So everybody knew it. So that's how I grew up. And I guess I took to it more than my brothers and sisters because I constantly watched it. But
did they make fun of you for watching and being so into it?
No. Like I said, with the whole family into it, we used to wrestle all the time. And me being the youngest, I used to get tortured taking the moves and stuff. So
That's awesome. So you never became a wrestler. You're not a wrestler, or nobody in your family is a former wrestler, right?
right. The closest thing to a wrestler we ever got to was my oldest brother, and he could have got training, but he chose not to. And he used to, well, my brothers and sisters, they moved to Atlanta. And this was like the peak wrestling time around 89, 90, 91, that era. So when I got to go hang out with him, my oldest brother, he worked for a car rental. So he knew a lot of wrestlers and hung out with a lot of wrestlers. So I used to see a bunch of them all the time and get autographs from them. And like the biggest one that I've seen, and I never forget this, we were at my sister and brother lived together, and my sister just had her first child, and me and my cousin, I was 15, she was 14, and we were down there visiting, and got a knock at the door. I went to the door. Who's standing in front of me but the Junkyard Dog? That was my reaction. Like, oh my God, you know you're the Junkyard Dog?
Do you know who you are?
Exactly. And so he's like, yeah, he asked for my brother. I was like, okay, hold on. And I hollered, he was upstairs, so I hollered at him, like, hey, the Junkyard Dog's here to see you. He's like, well, send him up.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. JYD. Let me tell you, when he passed away, I got so sad when I was watching Monday Nitro, which I'm sure we'll get to talk about that. When I was watching WCW Monday Nitro, obviously not Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone.
Oh, okay.
Tony Schiavone mentioned it on the air that JYD had passed away in a car accident or something. That I grew up watching him also. I mean, come on. His voice. Come on, JYD.
and it was crazy because he was himself. And then when he came in, he went upstairs. I'd never since seen anybody fall up steps. You can fall downstairs. You can trip up a step. He fell up like three steps, and I'm just sitting there like, what the? How was that even possible? But so that was.
Wow, that's awesome that you got to meet. Who else? Who else did you get to meet?
Myself, I've met a couple of different guys. Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express, I met him. And this is like in the last, I'd say it was 9-10 years.
Okay.
And he actually asked me to come to his wrestling school. And I was like, man, I appreciate the offer. I'm so beat up, I couldn't do anything. And now I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. So I'm a big boy. But on top of that, I had 2 hip surgeries before I was 15 years old.
Oh, man. So sorry.
So, well, it's just life. So then I was like, man, I can't do it. I knew I couldn't do it. I had a family and I wasn't about to put that in jeopardy. And but I was very, very thankful that he would even ask me. That just touched me really in a fanboy way that is not too many people are going to beat that.
No. He and he's still very active with the NWA.
Yes, yes.
His son.
And a matter of fact, later on, I tell you something else about him.
They were here recently, as a matter of fact, the NWA. They were here maybe 5 minutes away from my house.
Oh wow!
And I was gonna go. I couldn't make it. I couldn't go to the event, but something was going on. I think that weekend that I just couldn't make it. But they were here for the Jim Crockett Memorial Cup.
Right.
They were having it here, and I'm telling you, this was just a few months ago.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I tell you one other story about my brother. So again, this is WCW around time, and he was always telling me he hung out with the Samoans, and he actually went to their house, would hang out, drink with them and stuff. And he came in one day and he was telling me, like, man, I tell you what, boy, them Samoans, boy, they keep kids. And he said, man, they got these two little bad kids that man, they just bad. And their little cousin, all of them just bad. The two twins and the cousin. Come to find out, he was talking about Roman Reigns and the Usos when they were kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And every time I see him now, I mess with him. I'm like, your boy on TV again. You know, he just laughs and keep going.
Wow, man, that's very, very cool. So your brother got to, and this is because of the car rental company. Yeah,
he would, like I said, my brother is a cool person. So just hanging out, and he would, he probably cut deals when he shouldn't have, but he hung out with him. I got an autograph from Terry Funk. Bullet of Bob Armstrong, Matt Hardy. There's a lot of people I got a chance to get autographs from and actually meet. Like I said, I'm a big guy and in the wrestling light. I got a chance to hang out with New Jack when he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, him and Mustafa.
What?
And here's the crazy part.
Now talk about a crazy dude. And that guy, I mean, I've heard stories. I've obviously seen the documentary of throwing the guy, throwing this guy off the scaffold. What he did to that young kid.
Oh yeah,
underage. Man. So,
but for me, nobody can tell me any different about him because we stood. It was me, Mustafa, him, and my friend. My friend mother worked the gate. It was at the fair site, Smoky Mountain Tape there, and my friend's mother worked the gate, so we got in free. And afterwards, we were just hanging around, and all of a sudden, we saw him. It's like, I walked up to him, and I'm like, hey, man, do you know he stood there? They stood there and talked with us for over an hour.
Wow.
Just shooting the breeze. And this was pre-drug New Jack.
I remember that the reason why he got into, the man had headaches every single day. Vic Grimes landed on his head.
Right.
Cracked his skull. So, he was addicted to drugs. He was in pain every single day. He had migraines and still the man still went out and wrestled for the fans, entertained the fans. The guy was a talent. And I have heard stories of him being a very, very nice guy.
He was to me. He was just a great guy, and I mean, and Mustafa, his tag partner, don't get a lot. People don't talk about him, but he was super cool too. And they, like I said, we were just standing there and talked for an hour. And he offered, at the time I think about 19, 20. And he's like, hey, y'all want to come with us? We're about to go get some drinks. I was like, man, nah, we're like, hey, we don't drink. He said, man, and here's the ironic part. He said, man, I don't do drugs, but if they did if they had a test for alcohol before you go to the ring, I would fail it every time. But yeah, he was such a good guy. I'm trying to think. I met Jim Cornette.
Oh, another character. I love Jim. Well, as a kid, I hated him obviously because
obviously.
We fans as kids, unless you loved the bad guy, you liked the Rock and Roll Express, you liked the Road Warriors. Well, the Road Warriors were probably the only one that you liked, whether they were good or bad.
Exactly.
But other than that, you hated Jim Cornette. But Jim Cornette is a genius.
Jim is that's another person that is just a sweetheart. And he's funny. So, and like I said, of course, he was down here running Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Well, at the time I met him, Smoky Mountain had went out of business, but they had a local show the day before. I went to Charlotte, North Carolina for an NWA convention, and the local show, Jim Cornette came there. And I got to meet him and talk to him for a second. So then at the convention, he was at the convention like I was, and we got to talk. But I did something that I think would always go down for me as one of the best things ever. So at the convention, we had to walk up to the wrestlers. They had them set on the stage. And they had tables. So we walk up to them, get their autographs, and go down the line to different wrestlers. Well, at this particular one, they had Jim Cornette, Dennis Condrey, and Bobby Eaton there.
Oh, the original.
Right. So, okay. Like I said, Jim was first, Dennis was second, Bobby was at the end. And Bobby was the last wrestler. So, of course, walked up to Jim, like, oh, I think you stalking me. You keep following me. And we laughed about it. Then I go to Dennis. Oh, man, I loved you, Dennis. Even though I was lying, I was bitter. I liked Stan more than Dennis, but, So, okay. Then I go down to Bobby, and I was like, man, I loved you. Your high fly moves. I hate it, but I loved it. And he's like, well, thank you and stuff. And he signed my autograph. I took 3 steps away from him and I spun around real quick. And I was like, wait a minute. You talk? Jim Cornette was sitting there drinking a Coke. He spit that out on some poor fans because I just made him just chuckle. Jim just fell out laughing. So Bobby looked at me. He gave me a real devilish look. And then he smiled. So, we all laughing. I was like, I got it. So the next day, me and my buddy was walking around. We're trying to find an ATM to get some cash out. We just walking around trying to find something. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice. Oh, I caught you now. What? I look around. It's Bobby. When I tell you he had a straight, like he could kill me look on his face, I looked at my buddy. I was like, you better fight with me because I can't take him. He walked up, he grabbed me. I didn't know what to do. And he busted out laughing. He said, I got you. I was like, oh my God. My stomach was turning. My heart was beating. I thought he was about to really beat me. Bobby was a sweet guy too.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one that was sad when he passed. I mean, it's a shame all the wrestlers that they're are dying. I know some of them are old and it's expected. Obviously, you can't beat the clock.
Right.
But some of these guys are dying young, or Bobby, if I'm not mistaken, what was he in his 60s?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
That's
but
not.
Bobby had a lot of health issues too.
Did he? Okay, that I
Yeah.
didn't know. That I
Yeah.
didn't know. So it's still sad, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, he passed away a couple of years ago. He was 71. He wasn't young, but he wasn't ancient either.
Right.
So
But you got to think about how much they put on their, especially back then, how much they put on their body. They were using steroids and drugs, and that stuff it catches up to everybody.
It does. I was just gonna say it does catch up to you. Let me ask you this. I do want to get to talk about the wrestling society. But I still want to get to know more about your who you liked and all that stuff. And again, I love talking about wrestling history. I'm not a huge fan about today's product. I'm not.
Right.
I'm honest. But I love the history. I do appreciate some. And it's funny because I was watching Women of Wrestling the other day, which was created by the creator of Glow.
Right.
That's not too bad. They're actually pretty good. But I'm not a fan. Go ahead.
I was going to say they have a lot of great talent there. And matter of fact, one of the best things about them is that CM Punk's wife actually runs it.
Really?
Yes. She is a director of WOW, and she's put a lot of emphasis in it. And now personally, I hadn't watched it, but I try to keep my ear to the ground because of what I do of a lot of things. So yeah, I knew when she got it, I was assuming they was going to get a good TV deal, and they hadn't really.
I thought so too, because Jeannie Buss is also involved. The owner of the Lakers, the daughter of the late Jerry Buss. I know she's involved as well, and with all the money that they have. But anyway, but again, the Women of Wrestling is one of the few of the newer product that I enjoy. The NWA also. They're fun to watch because they're more independent. I like the independent wrestlers wrestling nowadays. But who are your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Growing up, of course, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, and in the way I look at things, Magnum TA was number 2 of the greatest United States champions of all time. There's only one person that rises above Magnum, and it's only because of his title reign and how many times he won it, and that was Lex Luger. But
wow.
Oh man, and yeah, I'm one of the rare people out there. When you put Lex and Sting together, 98% is going Sting. I was in that percentage with Luger. I don't know what it was about Lex.
Herman.
Yes.
Herman, you froze. You froze for a second. You said you don't know what it is when you put Sting and Luger together, and then you froze.
Okay. When you put Lex and Sting together, and people who's your favorite, 97% is going to say Sting.
That's my all-time favorite wrestler.
I was one of the 3% that took Luger.
Don't get me wrong. I love Luger. I remember growing up watching Luger, and he's one of the few that started in Georgia Championship Wrestling and Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
All right. But they were all part of the NWA. They were towards the end of the NWA territories. But my favorite wrestler was obviously Hulk Hogan at first, but when Sting came out, I lost my mind. I said, "This guy is phenomenal," and this was before he became a champion. Before he was running. This is, I mean, I thought the guy was awesome. He was the high flying, the cool color surfer makeup. And after when he became the Crow, I said, bro, this guy doesn't matter how he changes, he is amazing. My all-time favorite wrestler, Sting. But yeah, Luger is good too. Magnum TA would have, let me tell you, the NWA would have survived. The NWA would have survived, and Magnum TA would not have gotten hurt. He would have become champion. He was the next champion in line.
They were. I saw a thing where Ric Flair was talking about it, and the plan was that year, Starrcade, that they were going to give the title to Magnum.
Man, that was a shame. Yeah, that was sad. What happened to his career and what happened to him? He tried to stay, even to become a. He became a great commentator.
Yeah,
but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. Who else? Who else were? Oh, yeah.
No, I was gonna say I actually got a chance to meet him and thank him, and it's one of those things. Those saying you never want to meet your heroes, but 90% of the guys I got to meet have been just really cool sweethearts of God. Even if tired, and I get that. It's like I've seen wrestlers at a weird, awkward moment. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to bother you. I just want to say, hey, I like you. I like what you do in wrestling, and that'll be it. The only wrestler that I met that was a jerk to me was Greg the Hammer Valentine. And me and my buddy were on the elevator going up to our room, and Greg happened to get on. And I think I kind of whispered, like, hey, that's Greg Valentine. And he's like, and Greg heard me. And he's like, oh, Greg, more wrestling fans.
Really? Like, that's a shame, man.
And of course, I had a beef with him for a little while. Then I realized something. Man, if you're a wrestler and it's a popular wrestler that people know you don't get any rest. You can't go anywhere without people bugging you. You may be with your family eating or whatever. And sometimes you need your privacy. And
I agree.
And so I after a while I learned to let it go. Tell you the time I met Dusty was that the same thing. I told you Dusty was my favorite wrestler growing up. So I'm like super hype. I'm in line. I get up to Dusty. He turns his back on me. I'm like, what the? And his manager was standing there and they were talking about something. His manager saw the look on my face because I got like
disappointed.
No, I wasn't disappointed. I was pissed.
You're pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed. I could tell that when I used to get mad, I could tell when my body shifted into fight mode because I just felt like pulling up my fist. His manager saw my look on my face. He bumped Dusty. Dusty turned back around and signed my autograph or something and said, I can't even remember what he said because I was so pissed.
Yeah.
And for probably 6 months, the American dream died to me. He died. And then I saw him on TV doing something. I said to myself,
I forgive him.
Oh, baby, you know the dream didn't do you like that for me. He had some other things on his mind, but he loved you, baby. You just got to hold that true. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, Dusty. It was my fault. It was my fault.
No, listen, Herman. I there's certain times where I agree. listen, my heroes. Who are my heroes when it comes to sports? Got Magic Johnson. I got Darryl Strawberry, Dan Marino, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton.
Oh, yes.
These are my heroes. If I see them in an elevator, I am going to bother them. I'm sorry, it goes with the territory. You didn't want to be famous. You went into the wrong sport or to the wrong career. It goes with it. However, like you said earlier, if they're gonna be sitting down with family and dinner, man, leave the man alone, leave the woman alone. Caitlin Clark now. Caitlin Clark from the Women NBA, the rookie.
Right.
Probably the greatest product in female basketball ever. Better than Cheryl Miller. And I think Cheryl Miller is the greatest of all time. I surpassed Cheryl Miller. Because Cheryl Miller obviously was huge before the Women NBA existed. I put her above Cheryl Miller, and that's saying a lot, man. I don't say that lightly.
Right.
I think Cheryl Miller was even better than Reggie Miller. Right?
Yeah.
But,
hey, a lot of people argue that.
Let me tell you something. And I loved Reggie. I loved Reggie Miller, but Cheryl Miller was amazing. But Caitlin Clark has to know that she has become the most famous female right now in sports. She's putting the Women NBA on the map now. However, leave the woman alone if she's with family or she's having dinner somewhere. She wants to be left alone. But if she's in an elevator or you see her in the street, Caitlin, doesn't mean crowd her and hold her and hey, let's take a picture. No, but hey, Caitlin, I think you're awesome. Dan Marino, I think you're awesome. Which I've heard stories of Dan Marino being a jerk, which disappoints me because that's my all-time favorite football player. Right. Dan Marino. He's a hero of mine when it comes to football. But again, I going back to the point you made earlier, Greg the Hammer Valentine should not have done you that way. Man, yeah. It's because of us fans that he is famous.
But I agree with you 1,000%. But the older I get, the things I realize, like I said, you can't go out anywhere without people. And again, we love them or we hate them. They're famous. But did they really want that fame to impact their family and their time with them? Because a lot of them don't get a chance a lot of times to hang out with their family, to do things with their family. So it is precious. I tell you a story that my group, my buddies in Downtime of the Ring, they got a chance to interview Harley Race's son. And I wasn't a part of the interview, but I got to sit and listen to it. I was pretty much in the waiting area. So afterwards, they let me talk to him. And good Lord, probably another 30 minutes after the interview ended. And one of the things, I got to meet him and his mother. And one of the things I made sure to tell both of them was thank you. Because of their sacrifices, letting their father, husband entertain us, it helped a lot of people through hard times to enjoy something without having to think of life. They were willing to sacrifice their marriage, their father, so we could be happy. So I made sure to thank them. And for me, it's always to show respect to the business because, like I said, man, we all have problems and issues and stuff. And wrestling is my way of letting off that anger, letting the world go by for just that brief moment where I ain't got to think about my jerk of a boss, of not having enough money, or I got to go buy this for the kids. That's my escape. So I thank them for being understanding and not being selfish. And a lot of people wouldn't understand why I did that. I'm like, do you know what they sacrificed? We sit here and talk about the money and everything. It's not about the money. I mean, it's really not about the money with these people. They would trade in that money for a normal life to be with their husband or child, or father or whatever. So if you get a chance to meet somebody's family, think about that. How would you feel if that situation was you? My father passed away 5 years ago. And I sit back and think, man, my dad was here for this. If I had a problem, I could call my dad. I had the ability to have a relationship with my father, a good one, I could go to his house, we could hang out, whatever. And I think, man, Holy Ray's son, you didn't have it like that. It was only when he had a couple of days off or whatever. So
and you said a couple of days, because let me tell you that, and yeah, I've heard the stories, because especially back in the day. Nowadays, I believe they have it a little bit. It's a little looser.
Yes.
Now that I believe they have it a little bit better off, but back then, like Rick Fredo said, they paid the price. They paid the price. Listen, out of 365 days of the year, they were gone 363, maybe 350 days of the year. They only had 2 weeks off to spend with the family. Some of them, the real famous ones, the real popular ones, what we call jobbers back then, maybe not, but the real popular, like the Flairs, the Andersons, the Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, the JYDs, man, they were gone the entire year, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and they missed all those days with their kids.
And then back then too, man, you couldn't take off a holiday because that was their big shows. That's where they made their money. So yeah, and that's why I tell a lot of younger wrestlers that I get to meet and we just talk and stuff. It's like, man, respect those older wrestlers. You may not agree with everything they say, but show them the respect, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be where you at right now. And it's a learning thing and just a respect thing for me. And that's where me and the company, we're just wrestling fans, and we're just blessed to be able to bring wrestling in a different light. And like you said, independence, we are big on trying to support the independents guys, so they have a chance to maybe be seen and be able to go to the next level or learn what they need to learn to get to the next level. Like some of them never did an interview before. So we give chances like that. We on our website, we have Independent Wrestler of the Week. We try to spotlight them. Then we have Personality of the Week, and that could be a referee, it could be a manager, it could be a valet, it could be a commentator, and that is just to show that there's more things than just the wrestler. If you don't have any of that, the business doesn't go. And most times they don't even get any credit. So we just want to give them a just due and tell them thank you.
Yeah. Now tell me about the Wrestling Society. Tell me how it came about. I know you're the co-CEO, so tell me, you along with who or how many other people came about the Wrestling Society.
Okay, well, so the Wrestling Society was started by Brady Owens. He's the other co-CEO, and he is the mastermind behind us. He started out in 2018, I think. He tried to do everything by himself, podcasting and different things. and he quickly learned he couldn't do it. he definitely couldn't do it on his own. So he took some years off and thought about some things. He's like, okay, I need to surround myself with a good team. So he put out a Facebook post asking people, anybody want to be a podcaster? I saw it and was like, then I thought, nah. So I went, sat beside my wife, and she was like, I told her about it. She's like, well, why are you sitting here? Go in there and get your interview together. I'm like, nobody's going to want to hear me talk about wrestling. She's like, baby, you would debate against God. So, yeah, you know you could do it. And the thing was, I had to sit there for a minute and like, yeah, if I'm being honest, I would probably be like, Lord, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. but I think whatever. So I got up and came in, did my little interview, sent it off to Brady. And within an hour, he got back to me. And we've been a tag team ever since.
Man, that's awesome. Okay, and you guys and you told me you spotlight a wrestler of the week, independent, and is that what you mostly focus on, or do you also talk about AEW, Impact Wrestling, which I know used to be called TNA. I believe now it's just called Impact.
Yeah.
I believe it went back to TNA.
Yes.
Okay. TNA.
We focus on everything. We're more, and I will say though, we are more independent driven, but we focus on we don't care if it's wrestling, we're about it. Like on our Facebook page, we have we hit 3,200 members last week, I believe. We're growing, and like I said, I always tell anybody, podcasters, wrestler, promoters, if it's about wrestling, get on our website and promote yourself. It's not only about what you're doing, it's about giving the fans an opportunity to find out so they can come, because every place is different. So yeah. You just never know what great independent wrestling could be around your area and don't know about it. Well, you get on that site and somebody in your area might start talking about it, or they may give you do a flyer talking about their next show. So we're just trying to help people find wrestling a lot easier.
That's cool. That's cool. This past week I had the founder and creator of CWF. It's called Christian Wrestling Federation. His name is Rob Vaughn, and they are a local Christian wrestling organization here in Rockwall, Texas. I'm originally from Florida. I moved here to Texas 3 years ago, and he founded about over 20 years ago, about 24, 25 years. No, yeah, about 20 years ago, 20 something years ago. Sorry, and he just retired. And he passed the baton to somebody else. But great wrestling organization, CWF, Christian Wrestling Federation, great show. And they, at the end of, it's just they love the Lord. Regular wrestling, it's a wrestling show. Just at the end, they do an altar call. They do an altar call, and they present the gospel to the fans.
And see that, and honestly, that I'm looking for a Christian wrestling organization, because that's a different type of wrestling, and it's family friendly. We give a lot of different platforms. We have hardcore wrestling. We have some family friendly wrestling. We have some that's not so. But
yeah,
my point is just to have different wrestling, because wrestling is different.
Yeah.
And not everything is going to hit the same with everybody. So we want to give so many different avenues for people.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you away. I'm gonna send. I don't know if did you ever watch Glow?
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
I watched
April.
Glow, and I watched the show that was on Netflix.
Oh, the yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
the
documentary.
yeah. Oh, the the documentary or the actual series?
The
The other.
series.
Okay.
I watched both.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't watch the series. I thought it was a little too different. I had April Hom, the Hawaiian, the Royal Hawaiian,
Right.
the original champion, though the original crown champion. I had her on the show twice.
Oh wow.
She is huge. She's constantly pushing, constantly supporting wrestling as well, especially the women. So I'm gonna send her your way. I'm Rudy Gonzalez. I don't know if you know Rudy the Boy Gonzalez. I had him
Yes.
on the show a few weeks ago. He's also his wife is in WoW, and he has a school.
Oh, okay.
He trains wrestling here in Texas, in San Antonio.
But
Uh,
definitely, I would definitely love to know the name of the school. On our website, we have a list of what I call legitimate wrestling schools. So I would love to put them on there.
Yeah, and like I said, check out the episode with him. Great man, great storyteller. As a matter of fact, I'm having him on again for episode 50, which is going to be my last. This is going to be the last episode of the season.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have which is going to be at the end of this month. At the end of this month. But check out that episode. Man, that episode is great. He's a great guy. And again, great storyteller. And that's what I love about wrestling. That's what I love about wrestling fans. Talk about wrestling and avenues like this help us meet some of our heroes, which has been
Yes.
amazing. You
know,
what has been?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was asking what have been some of your favorite matches throughout throughout since '73 you've been a fan. So what's been some of your favorite matches that you remember?
Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard I Quit match.
Oh man, I remember that one. Yeah, that's it.
The original War Games match. Oh goodness. It's so many different ones. I could always sit down and enjoy Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. I always love that. The current stuff, man, I can sit back and watch Samoa Joe go up against a mop. So
Samoa Joe is good too, man. Samoa Joe is one of the newer guys. Well, he's been around already for over 20 years, but he is one of the guys that he's very fun to watch. I agree with you, and I'm happy that he wasn't stuck in as TNA was going downhill. He was able to move on to the WWE. So I'm happy for him. I don't know where he's at now. Is he still with the WWE?
No, he's actually with AEW. He is their former world champion.
Nice, good for him. Again, he's a great talent. Fun to watch. I remember he's had wars. He's had wars and great talent. Yeah.
There's so many different guys that I watch and like, and I caught myself more into looking at indie wrestling too, seeing these younger guys, and I'm like, ooh, and I get that kick, like, ooh, that guy gonna be a star, or she got it. I bet money she's about to blow up, and so I get a kick out of that. And matter of fact, me and my wife are going to a wrestling a local wrestling show this Friday that the NWA World Women's Champion father actually runs the promotion, and she'll be there, and the World Heavyweight Champion will be there, and Jay Lethal is going to be there, and that's the main reason why I want to go, to try to meet and talk to Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, Ric Flair in that final match that Ric Flair had. Let me tell you something. Thank God, Ric Flair. Listen. My favorite wrestler, I told you, was Sting. Greatest wrestler of all time, Ric Flair. I think. Listen,
I agree with you.
There's a reason why they kept giving him the title over and over again. I know many people will disagree. I know many people. Ole Anderson would talk smack about him. Many people would talk smack about Ric Flair. I think there's jealousy. But Ric Flair, as a person, I hear the guy is garbage. But as a wrestler, greatest of all time, man. But thank God he finally retired. Jay Lethal carried him. The match, and oh my God, that was hard to watch. That was sad to watch. But Jay Lethal's amazing.
I didn't expect anything after the match, but their promo, oh my goodness. Got to be in my top, my top 10 promos of all time.
Yeah. And I think Jay Lethal is amazing. I mean, man, there's so many great matches that you can think about throughout history. Even those that we didn't get to watch because we were either not born yet or the older wrestlers also were amazing. The original Nature Boy, the original Buddy Rogers was amazing. Luthez, was amazing.
Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah. That man was a champion. I think 7 years straight without losing the title. There's a reason why they put the title on these men for a while. And they're predetermined matches, but they were entertainers.
Exactly.
Man, yeah. But one of my all-time favorite matches was, tell me your thoughts on that one. Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage. WrestleMania 3.
It's funny because, of course, I hear that all the time. It's like, oh, that was one of the greatest matches. And at the time I watched it, I agreed 100%. I knew they put on such a classic. But when I go back and look at it today, it just doesn't register the same with me. Not saying it's not a great match, but it's just like, I guess me being the wrestling historian that I am, I see stuff that I didn't catch before. And it's like, oh, okay. Okay. So I'm kind of grading it a little differently than when I was younger. And of course, I think that happens with any match.
Yeah.
But yeah, they put on such a great match. I just hated that Steamboat got only, I think, a month and a half run with the title.
Well, that's because because he didn't want to, as the title holder, you need to travel the country every single day. He didn't want to do it. He had a newborn baby. He wanted to spend time with the family. And what you call it, and Vince McMahon said, okay, I understand, but you're gonna lose you have to lose the title then. So that's why he lost it so quickly. Yeah, I heard that he technically lost it sooner, but on television we saw it. They lost it later.
And one little funny fact that I heard it wasn't supposed to be the honky tonk man to get the title.
I heard that too.
It was actually supposed to have been Butch Reed beating him, but Butch Reed didn't show up.
That's a shame because Butch Reed, the natural Butch Reed was amazing. And I loved him in Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Doom. That was a great tag team. Him and
Ron Simmons.
Ron Simmons. Man, those were savage matches. Those were savage. That was a savage.
They had some of the greatest tag teams then. The Road Warriors, the Steiner Brothers, Doom, the Skyscrapers.
Oh, man. Skyscrapers. Skyscrapers. Oh, man, I remember
that. And another one that a lot of people don't know, that the Undertaker actually was a part of the Skyscrapers.
Mean Mark.
Yes.
Mean Mark Callis. Yes.
One of my favorite matches, even to this day, to go back and look at, it was at the Great American Bash, the year Sting won it from Ric Flair. Luger defended the title against Mean Mark Callis with Paulie Dangerously as his manager.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, and Mean Mark, and he did all the stuff that he does as the Undertaker. He did as Mean Mark, walk on the ropes. It just the difference that his finish was the heart punch.
Yep,
I remember that, man. I remember that goes yesterday. I'm gonna mention some names. Tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
All right.
First thing, Abdullah the Butcher.
Savage.
And one of the nicest guys.
Yes. He my sister met him in Atlanta. It was
I'm gonna have to move close to you. I'm gonna have to move closer. I'm gonna have to move to Tennessee, man. Or at least visit you, man. See if I can meet somebody.
She was at a grocery store and he was there, and he had on a shirt that said "The Butcher." And again, like I said, she may not be all into wrestling, but she knows wrestling. So she saw him like, "You're Abdul the Butcher." And he's like, "No, I'm not." She's like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "No, you got me confused." She's like, "You got the Butcher right there."
And he used to own a Chinese and rib restaurant or two locations, I think, in Atlanta.
Yep.
Which I regret. When I used to live in Georgia, I regret not going to his restaurant. I regret it because you could have met him if you went to his restaurant. Chances are you're going to run into him.
Yep.
And by the way, Rudy the Boy Gonzalez has a great story on my episode with him. Great story on Abdullah Butcher. But he's a very nice guy. Him and me are buddies on Facebook, and I reach out every now and then. And he's not doing. He's had some health issues.
Right.
And I reach out to him and I go, "Hey, Abby, praying for you. Your thanks, champ." He calls everybody champ. Bruce Brody.
Before his time, if Bruiser could have lived around this time, he would have been what people look at Terry Funk as being, the hardcore legend.
I agree. I think Bruce Brody was one of the best, and they say one of the nicest guys also to meet. He loved his family, loved his wife, loved his kid. One of the nicest men ever to come out of wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Well, tell me about your thoughts on Doom again. Tell me what your first thing that comes out when you think about Doom.
Underrated. They were so underrated. I'm glad they got the chance they did, but they didn't last long enough in my mind, and they were just underrated. They could have did so much more.
I didn't think Teddy Long was going to do good. I think Teddy Long was genius when he turned bad and he became a manager. I did not think that was going to be a good. I thought, man, they're going to kill. He was a great manager for them.
Another person that's underrated is. Yeah. Look how long he's lasted in the wrestling business, and you talking about stories that you can get from him, and oh wow, I love Teddy Long.
Slick.
Oh, I every time I think of Slick, I want to pray.
and you know the funny thing, he's a preacher now.
Yes, I know. Oh, who was it? Somebody was telling me or was in contact with his son or something, but he was talking about every time he does something, he always checks with Slick about it, not just for the advice and confidence. And I heard he's a great human being too.
Yeah, and great character, man. Another great one of the colorful characters of the golden era of wrestling, which was the 80s. The guy was amazing. What he did with the one-man gang, turning him into a team, man, that was hilarious. I'm from Africa.
Most people hated the King. I got a kick out of it. I enjoyed it every chance to see doing it.
And he goes, and every time he'll say, he is a black man inside. He's got soul. He is from Africa. Man, and the thing is, it worked. He's the one-man gang. He was the one-man gang for his entire career. And then all of a sudden, he's a team.
Oh, that was funny.
Teaming up with
Boss Man, right?
And did you ever see the when they were guests on the Arsenio Hall show? Did you ever see that? I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
Oh man, hilarious, man. Hilarious, man. Hilarious. But I'm telling you, when he also did, when he had Tiny Lissa, Zeus on his show
yeah, I do remember that one.
That was hilarious. Come on, my brother. Oh man. Amazing time for wrestling. That was amazing time for wrestling. But Slick was very funny, great character, and he played it well.
Yes, he did.
It well. Ric Flair,
greatest of all time.
How about Arn Anderson?
Should have been a world heavyweight champion. Should have been. He never got his due. Arn is my favorite horseman.
Me too.
If it wasn't for Arn was that bully that okay, if you want to get to the boss, you got to go through me. And you talking smack about the horseman, you coming through me first. If you get through me, then you might get a chance of the champ dogging you, but you ain't getting past me. I love listening to his podcast. I'm a horseman junkie. And again, if Arn wasn't a part of the group, it just wouldn't make sense.
And I'll tell you what, I think they should have killed the horseman off after. They should have ended it with Barry Windham. I think they did too much. Listen, not taking away from Chris Benoit, not taking anything away from Margo McMichael. And I know he's doing really, really bad as well. He's not. I think he's in the last days. That's if he hasn't passed away already. I haven't checked. I haven't looked into him lately. Last time I checked, he was doing really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
But nothing, anything away from any of the guys that have been part of the Horsemen. But I think the Horsemen should have been killed off and ended in the early 90s, maybe mid 90s. Once the NWO came in, there should have been no more Horsemen. They made him weak.
Yeah, they really you could tell Bischoff did not respect that history.
No, no, no. He did it. I totally agree. Vince Russo. What are your thoughts on Vince Russo?
Jerk. Just, I don't want to jump on that bandwagon of dogging him because as much as we dog him as fans, he had good ideas and different elements, but he thinks he's smarter than what he is, and as I call him, he's an insult to pro wrestling. That's why him and Jim Cornette hate each other.
And it's sad that Jim, listen, I love Jim Cornette. It's sad that Jim holds such a grudge. It's sad. It's sad. Which you could tell he doesn't know the Lord. Because you should never nobody should be able to hold that much power over you. And you could tell Vince Russo holds a big power over Jim Cornette. But what I don't like about Vince Russo, I think he killed WCW. He finished him off. They were on the way down, but he finished them off. TNA, once he came in, TNA went downhill. TNA was a backup of WCW. It was almost a revival of WCW. And I hope Vince Russo has nothing to do with AEW.
No, he don't.
Okay, so if not, bye-bye AEW also. I'm sorry. I agree with you. He had some great ideas, but I think he killed a couple of these companies. Yeah.
Well, I always won't give the credit just straight to him. There were so many. Hogan had a big part. Bischoff. It's so many people you could pick from, I think, but definitely Russo. Russo had a nice part in ruining it too.
Yeah, the whole NWO thing, that was a great idea, and I think it was its own worst nightmare at the same time.
Like you were saying about the Horsemen, they should have killed it off. They should have stopped after Goldberg took off. They should have never brought the NWO back.
No, I agree. And then, I think somebody mentioned it somewhere. I heard it somewhere. Sting was the number one force against the NWO, and then all of a sudden he jumps on NWO Red, Wolfpack. It's like that there. I think that really killed it for me. But yeah, what about Harlem Heat? What are your thoughts on Harlem Heat?
Love them. I remember. So the first thing that comes to mind is representation, because being a black man, of course, we didn't have a lot of representation in wrestling.
Unfortunately, no.
But when I saw them, I immediately got proud. Like, oh wow, they ain't just any wrestlers. They are similar to me. I felt a kinship with them. And I remember before they came in WCW, they were the Ebony Experience and in Texas. So yeah, love them. I'm so glad that Booker got his run, got his flowers. I'm glad they did the Hall of Fame for him and his brother. I'm super proud of them.
And they did with them that they didn't do with Doom.
Yes.
They had a great run as tag. I hated that they separated them. I hated that Billy Ray ended up going, that his brother ended up going to the NWO. I think they ended up killing his career. He became one of the stooges for Hogan.
Well, you know what though, with Stevie, I know he was on the B team, but I like that you saw more character out of him. I think if they would have let it go and just drop the NWO and just have him like run a different faction, I got entertained by him. And I was entertained by how well he did as a commentator too. I honestly think he's better than Booker when it comes to commentating.
Oh, I totally agree. Booker's a better wrestler.
Yes.
And
Stevie.
not taking anything away from Stevie Ray, because again, they were one of the best tag teams of all time. I have to put them in the top 5. And that's saying, I mean, you got so many to pick on.
Yeah.
But I have to put them in the top 5. The greatest black tag team, because man, but you got Rocky Johnson, I forgot who was
Tony Atlas.
That was another great black tag team. And I know unfortunately we don't have a lot. And I totally agree with you. Unfortunately, the black community does not have a lot of representation. I'll tell you what, I am glad that Ron Simmons did get to win the world title.
Oh man.
And it's sad that after all these years of the NW, well, as an NW in the NWA, there was never a world champion, black world champion. He became the first. He became the WCW world champion.
Yes, the NWA, they did have a black world champion.
They did.
When I tell you this, you're probably gonna bust out laughing.
Who?
R-Truth. Ron Killings was their first world heavyweight champion, black.
Oh, but the NWA, I'm talking about the NWA, the old NWA, not the current NWA.
No, this was when TNA first started. He won it there.
Okay, yeah, okay. TNA under NWA, TNA. Okay. I did not know that. I did not know he became world champion there.
Yep.
Okay,
a lot of people don't realize that he was a former world champion.
And another great talent.
Yes.
The guy is talented. He's another good wrestler. Another great wrestler, man. It's another great wrestler. Okay, so tell us what else the WSN offer? What how can people become a member? How can people join in? What else can tell us what else? So I got the Wrestling Society swinging down below. You can go to the website, also on Facebook.
Yes, our website. We got, like I said, we have a podcast room where we have different podcasters. We have the wrestler of the week and the personality of the week, and you can vote on them. What else? We have our app connected to it, so you can see different things from our app. We got we just added music, original music. So that's new. We actually just got a partnership with Supernova Wrestling. And this Friday, they're gonna do their first live show on our app.
Really?
Yes. And it I can't even think of the name of the event. Yeah, I apologize, but it starts at 6:30 at your local time. I think it's 6:30.
6:30 Central or 6:30 Eastern?
Central. I think it's Central and 7:30 Eastern, if I remember correctly. But it's going to be first time we are doing the live stream of their wrestling. So it's going to be showing up on our app, on the Facebook page. It's going to be live on our YouTube page also. So yeah.
It's called Spooktober Slam.
That's
what
it.
it's called. I have I pulled it up. I pulled it up on my phone. It's called October Slam. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. So, guys, catch it. Download the app or you go to the YouTube page.
And all of it is free.
Man, that's amazing. You can't get a better deal than that. And I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be sharing it also on Facebook. You have a new fan and a new subscriber, and a new, with me. And
man, I appreciate it. And
absolutely,
like I said, it's free. We're trying to just connect the world and put eyes on a lot of independent promotions. And like I said, on the app, we got different types of things. We got cartoons for kids. We have a 2K promotion that we run. That we have an action figure promotion that's running. We have, like I said, cartoon from the 80s, rock and wrestling.
I was gonna ask you. That was one of them, and that's amazing. I used to, as a kid, you cannot. As a kid, if you were a wrestling fan, you knew you were watching that cartoon, and you wanted to see Hulk Hogan and JYD and Andre the Giant beat up Roddy Piper and his cronies. So, which Roddy Piper was another, probably aside from Ric Flair, the best on the mic is Roddy Piper.
Yes. I can't believe we got movies with wrestlers in it.
Okay.
So, if you wanted to see a good movie, we got that. I think we have
merch. Besides, merch of WSN merchandise.
It's not out yet, but it's coming. We're working on that. We think, and this is no disrespect to any other wrestling app out there or wrestling thing. I think we're the best because we give so much different variety.
I'm seeing that. I mean, I'm looking at the WSN Wrestling Radio, podcast room, indie wrestling, the society. You have a group chat. You have a magazine.
Yeah, we're working on that. That's going to be coming out.
What is DTITR?
That is Downtime in the Ring, and they're an affiliate of ours, podcasters.
Amazing. What's TAHH?
That's another affiliate. 2.5 Hill podcast.
Cool, man. Cool. If anybody wants to join an affiliate with you guys, how much is it?
So, to be an affiliate with us is, for podcaster, is $50 a month. Now, with that, you're guaranteed to get 3 to 10 episodes of your show on the app. And each month you can switch it out however you like. We're going to advertise for you. We're going to point everybody in your direction. We're going to try to even get you to come, some affiliates of ours to interview you. So, man, $50 is a great price for all the info, and we're worldwide. We've got. I'm a big numbers guy, and I track. We are over in Australia, in the UK. So it blows my mind on how much we are out there and just getting stronger and stronger. And that's cool. And the main reason why we're getting stronger, because we picked up great affiliates that believe in wrestling product too. And that's one of the keys.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for example, my show, probably for the next season, I'll talk to you about it and probably become an affiliate if you guys accept me. Um, yeah, I'm not just, I've had wrestlers on. Like I said, I had Rudy, I had Abraham, the, I had Nicola Roberts, Baby Doll, the
Yes,
Perfect 10. Uh, you
yes.
know, I
I,
have.
if I wasn't a married man now, I would come and try to still marry her. I love her to death.
And her daughter is a huge star in NWA,
Yes,
and she's uh, she was married to you know
Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, so she's the ex sister-in-law of Jake the Snake Roberts,
Yes,
Rock and Robin. So yeah, so I've had a few wrestlers. I've also had an independent wrestler. He's called the Bomb. Um, a very young, athletic black wrestler who who's an independent. He was actually my very first wrestler that I interviewed. Um, so yeah, but I've also had I've had musicians, I've had actors, filmmakers. So so my podcast is not just wrestling, although I love wrestling. Like I said, I am a wrestling fan.
oh,
I'm
I
not a
can tell.
historian, but I love wrestling. It brings me back to my childhood, man. It brings me back to my childhood. You
Man,
know,
I can tell by us having this conversation. It's like, and that's one of the best things I've loved about doing podcasts because it's like I'm talking to a new old friend. We get to discuss our childhood and how much fun we had. And then if I talk to people who are younger than me, I get to tell them, oh, well, yeah, that guy was this. But if you go back, you'll see where he got it from. And this is this. Again, I'm very thankful that I was smart enough to listen to my wife because I give her all the credit in the world for pushing me into this because I get to live out a dream that I never thought I could. I get to all this wrestling knowledge that I thought was useless. I'm using it. I get to enlighten people. I get to see the joy on their face, just like mine. I have fun picking with certain podcasters. It's just like an extension. WSM to me is a family. And we just keep getting members and finding cousins. Like, oh man, you my cousin. Yeah, yeah. And just grow. And basically, I think that's our mission statement to grow and continue pressing wrestling on.
and when you get wrestling fans like us, listen. I mean, we've been on this for over an hour, and before we even talked about WSN, we were talking for how long? Talking about history and talking about wrestling. It's a fun topic when you like it, when you like wrestling. For
Yes,
example, I got subscribers that are probably not going to listen to this episode. They're going to say, "Oh, wrestling next," and it's okay. Listen, it's not for everybody,
it's not.
but when you enjoy it, when you enjoy wrestling, you can talk for hours. Listen, I had Hector Guerrero on,
Oh,
Eddie Guerrero's brother.
yes.
It was such a long episode. I had to cut it in two. I was with him. Listen, the first episode I had to cut in 2 weeks. I had to do two parts, 4 hours.
Woo.
One of the but let me tell you something. It didn't feel like 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about God, we talked about family, we talked about it got emotional. Because when he spoke about his brother Eddie, he broke down. I had to hold it back for me not crying. It was a very emotional episode. But we spoke about God. We spoke about wrestling. He spoke about Andre the Giant, how Andre the Giant became one of his best friends. Andre the Giant became one of his best friends. He drove Andre the Giant around when he was first starting. And you when you talk about wrestling, when you are a wrestling fan like you and I are, just talking, man, and we won't even notice. It'll be midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll still be talking because there's so much to talk about that we did not cover.
Oh yeah.
You know, we could talk about so many jobbers that made a difference. You know, Barry Horowitz was an awesome Aaron Sharp.
Oh yeah, just
SD Jones, special delivery. He wasn't a jobber at first. He was a great wrestler. After he got after his 8-second loss to King Kong Bundy, became a jobber.
Yes, the Moki twins. When they was wrestling the Midnight Express, they started Moki Mania, Rocky King. Man, and I can't believe that I didn't talk about this. And when you start talking about jobbers, it just hit me. Next year, we're doing a Hall of Fame class for independent wrestlers.
That's cool. Very good. I love it.
We already sent a list out, and I know I'd never come prepared to talk about certain subjects, because if I write it down, then I'll be just kind of looking and I get nervous. So I always just try to fly free. But next year, we're going to give the independent wrestlers that we think deserve this, and we got a committee, and we're going to show them love and give back to them, to let them know that we see them, we see their work, and we're appreciative of them. Just because they didn't make it to the big, maybe to the big dance, don't make them any less of great wrestlers.
That's awesome that you guys are doing that. I'll be looking forward to that. Let me ask you, what are your ultimate goals with WSN? What's your biggest what's your huge vision, or what's your ultimate goal with WSN?
My vision and ultimate goal is, when someone thinks, hey, I want to look at something on wrestling, the first thing they think of is WSN. I want to be able to give people what I got as a child from wrestling. I want to have that easy connection and everything. And the only thing you have to do is go to WSN to get it. I respect wrestling. I love wrestling. And I'm at the place where I can give back to wrestling. Man, it gets no better than that.
That's awesome.
And getting to meet world champions and talk to them, and it's amazing. And talk to the wrestlers, like the NWA World Women's Champion, Kenzie Page, was the first wrestler to cut a promo for my group. First one. She didn't want any money. She didn't want anything. She was like, hey, I'm going to cut a promo for you. I was like, really? And she did it. And I saw her this year, and it was a while since we seen each other. And she's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, wow, I'm doing great. We're doing these things. We got an app and stuff. She's like, that is wonderful. She's like, I guess I'm gonna have to cut you another promo. And she stood right there. I had people behind me waiting to get to her, and she cut me a promo. Every time I see her, she is such a sweet young lady. and very loving. And I like I said, just I love that camaraderie and Sting wrestlers, and they just nice. And again, always in my head, if they're mean to me, there's a reason. And don't take it personal. Maybe it's just a bad time or whatever, but I still respect that person because they're in wrestling.
Yeah, and you made a great point just now. We got to remember, we shouldn't take things personal because we got to remember they are human beings also.
Exactly.
They may have been heroes to us as kids, most of these guys, but they are human beings also. They have a bad day, just like you and me. Well, it's not my fault that, listen, don't tell me you've never taken it out on somebody else, and it's not their fault you're having a bad day. It's not their fault you had a fight with your wife or whatever. You're going through, God forbid, a divorce, or you're, God forbid, you're going through an illness.
Yeah.
It's not nobody's fault, but chances are you have taken it out on somebody else. So they're human beings as well.
That's why
I agree with you.
That's why I can sit here now, baby, and I can do the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby, because the dream wouldn't do me like that. Because when he told me to reach my hand out, I reached my hand out, and I knew we connected 1-to-1, baby.
Have you ever heard of Mike Raimondi?
Yeah,
Okay, I had him on also. He's an impersonator. He does a great. As a matter of fact, he met Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, I think, had him on in the ring, come out on the ring a few times to impersonate his dad, and so that's pretty cool. Man, let me ask you last question. What is your Mount Rushmore wrestling? I know that's a mouthful. I'll tell you what. Give me your 3, and then the last one you could. Or give me your 4, and then you could give me some notable mentions.
Okay. Of course, Ric Flair. Rick. Macho Man.
Wow, I like that one.
Nice. Because we're talking about the whole package, and Macho was the whole package. Have to put Sting in that.
I wasn't expecting that one. I was not expecting that. He's obviously in there for me. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, because again, it goes to being the whole package, and I love Sting. He was just a whole package. And the one person that I would put in there that always surprised people is Hulk Hogan. As much as I dislike Hogan, as much as a fan, even when he was the red and yellow and say your prayers, eat your vitamins and all that jazz, I didn't like him then. But I have to respect what he was for the business. And I just, funny enough, on another podcast, had a conversation about disliking somebody and being realistic about somebody. Yes, Hogan would be in the top Mount Rushmore, but it doesn't mean I'm a fan of his, nor do I like him. But I would be an idiot not to put him there.
How about notable mentions?
Of course, Dusty. For me, Samoa Joe, The Undertaker, Rock, Kurt Angle, and a very controversial one.
Kurt Angle, I like Kurt. Yeah, Kurt Angle is amazing too.
Very, very controversial, but I loved his wrestling. This is him and wrestling, not him and his personal. Chris Benoit.
I knew you were going to say when you mentioned that. I agree. And let me tell you, Rudy Gonzalez and I spoke about that as well. And I spoke to this about also with Hector Guerrero, which Hector Guerrero and Chris Benoit were very good friends.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they spoke a couple weeks before his passing and everything. I don't think, not excusing what he did. I don't think he was in his right state of mind.
I don't either. And the test shows that that man was concussed, where his brain was an 82-year-old man with dementia and other things. Again, like you said, I don't condone it. I try not to talk about it, but as a wrestling fan, you cannot, I will argue you down when it comes to Chris Benoit wrestling ability and what he brought to wrestling. He was a great horseman. But I know how sore of a subject that could be, especially if you lost a loved one to murder. So I try to be respectful when it comes to
that's why I say what I say. I'm not condoning what he said. I'm not excusing what he said, but he did, from what I've heard, he loved his wife and kids.
And his kids.
Because his surviving son was, he has a surviving son who is a spitting image of him.
Oh, scary. Him and Chris Jericho had a picture together. I had to take a triple take because I was like, oh my God, that's Chris.
A skinny version of Chris.
Yes.
But it's a spitting image of Chris Benoit. But again, yeah, great talent. And I mean, no disrespect either. I agree with you. To anybody who's lost someone to murder, but Chris Benoit, I don't think he was in his right state of mind.
One other thing, when we're talking about great matches, I can't believe I didn't think about it, but there's so many different matches running in my head.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit versus Kevin Sullivan in the street
the best
fight.
Of 7.
When they fought all over the arena, went into the bathroom, and then and then once you find out that they were actually throwing real punches,
they did not like each other. This was a true, real fight, because they remember woman
was Kevin Sullivan's wife and left him for Benoit. Yeah, that fight. Sometimes when I get the chance, if I just trying to find something to look at, that I break out the old videotape of that. The one I had talked about, Magnum and Tully. I watched that
because they have their exes also. It's amazing how they sometimes will use real beef and put them in the ring and use them. And I never knew, which I didn't know, the whole Tully and how related Tully and Magnum are.
Yeah.
Wow. And Tully is now a missionary. Also, he's a preacher now for he has a ministry for prison.
And here's the thing: Magnum married Tully's ex-wife, helped raise Tully's daughter, Tussle Blanchard, and she got trained by both of them. That's why she is good as she is when it comes to wrestling.
Another great talent. I agree. Man, listen, we could spend hours and hours and hours talking about this. I love this.
I feel like I'm gonna be coming back next.
Listen, I want to have you back if you're willing to come back. I am humbled that you reached out to me. I truly am, man. I'm so humbled, and I'm grateful that you came on. I'm very grateful that you came on. because we're definitely gonna have to have a part 2.
I'm grateful that you would take the time, because your platform is your baby and you just can't let everybody on it. And I appreciate you doing that. And when you didn't have any room, you found room for me, and you made sure that I knew. And me being humble, I want to thank you, because again, I want to be able to get the word out and people enjoy it. It's something for everybody, I think. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, I think we might have something that may sway you.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, for sure. And believe me when I tell you, I'm gonna help promote you. I will help promote WSN. You have a fan, you have a friend in me. That's I don't know why I felt like a cartoon saying that just now. Talk about Toy Story. But you definitely do. You have a friend in me, you have a new friend, you have a new fan, and a new partner per se.
I appreciate
You have a new
it.
partner. Because a lot of these folks that have come on the show have done me a favor by coming on. Okay, and it's amazing how all these folks have come on without asking anything in return. Because I've reached out to some folks and they're asking for money, and I get it. Please, I'm not knocking them.
Right.
I'm just not in the position to. My show is not in a position to pay me. I don't make any money off of my show. I don't. I don't do commercials. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't. I have it's or nothing like that. So I'm not in a position to pay anyway. So I appreciate everybody that's come on to promote themselves or to promote what a movie, the film, which by the way, since we are in October 11th, Christian Royal Jones, filmmaker, Twisted Hearts will be in theaters everywhere October 11th. So folks, please make sure you go out and watch and catch that film. Support my boy Christian Royal Jones, founder and creator of Q and Coda Films. All right. And also make sure you check out WSN WrestlingSociety.com, TheWrestlingSociety.com, and check out their app. Anything else you want to add?
No. Well, just to let people know that the app is available on Roku. It's Apple TV, Amazon, and Fire Stick. So, and the only thing you have to put in is WSN, and you will see our logo. And again, the app is free. So, man, why not take advantage of it?
I'm going to download it right now on my Roku, and I'm going to download it on my phone right now. I'm going to do that right now. So definitely, yes. Folks, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. At least check out this episode and share with somebody else who are other wrestling fans. Professor, thank you for being on. And I'm looking forward for us speaking again on screen, but you and I are going to stay in touch no matter what.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
God bless you. And God bless your
you.
family, man.
Thank you.